Welcome to the 2012 Online Fire Safety Training. This is an annual training and it's been updated since last year. At the end of this training, you'll be directed to a competency. If you have any problems viewing this video or listening to the audio, please stop and let your supervisor know. Thank you. This video will take approximately 35 minutes to watch and complete the competency. Please ensure you have enough time to complete this. Every year, more Americans die in fires than all the natural disasters combined in the United States. In a 10-year period from 1998 to 2008, there were a total of 2,738 people that died from natural disasters. During the same time, 46,900 people died from fires. Every 169 minutes, someone in the U.S. dies in a fire, and every 30 minutes, somebody's injured from a fire. That's about 3,000 deaths per year and 18,000 injuries due to these fires. Somewhere in the U.S., a fire department responds to a fire every 24 seconds. Last year, 115 firefighters lost their lives while on duty, and 84% of civilian fire deaths occurred in homes. It's important to understand that you're not a firefighter. You're a first responder. Your goal is to get everyone out safely, including yourself. You do not have the equipment or the training to rescue people. 43% of people injured in home fires were trying to fight the fire or rescue someone when they were injured. A common myth about fires is, I've got time to get out. Actually, a fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. Fires grow quickly. Let's take, for example, a fire that starts in a garbage can that's 12 inches by 12 inches. In 30 seconds, that fire will be 2 feet by 1 foot. By 3 minutes, that fire will grow to 8 feet by 8 feet. Fires are very hot. When you cook food, often it's at 350 degrees. Multiply that temperature by 3 or 4 times during a fire. Human bodies contain about 80% water, and water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body cannot survive in these temperatures. 3/4 of all fire deaths are due to smoke inhalation. Many of the items in a home or a workplace contain plastic. Plastic contains petroleum. Carpeting, curtains, the foam in the chairs we sit on all contain chemicals that are toxic when burned. These items release carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen chloride, or nitrogen dioxide. Breathing in these poisonous gases will cause slow mental processing, slow physical action and movement, burns as the gases are hot, and cause anything from respiratory irritation to respiratory arrest. This video shows the room burning with a time-lapse camera, along with the room temperature at 3 levels in the room.
This room is furnished to represent a typical bedroom. There are pictures on the wall, drapes covering the windows, a bed with pillows and blankets, as well as other items. The fire is started in a trash can. As the fire grows, it starts to make a run up the drapes. It takes just 60 seconds to activate the smoke alarm down the hall. As the temperature rises and the toxic smoke becomes dense, your chance of survival decreases by the second. The temperature in the room has risen so fast that your next breath would sear the lining of your lungs if the toxic smoke hasn't already taken your life. Listen closely. You can hear the hallway smoke alarm melting as the fire, radiant heat, and smoke spread throughout the rest of the structure. This time, smoke and flames attract neighbors' attention.
Fire emergency. I'm walking by a residence at 6830 Cooper Stallion, and there's fire and smoke actually coming out of an upstairs window.
Once the 911 call has been received, it will take approximately 6 minutes until the first unit arrives on scene.
125 is 222. We have a six-plex, 2-story residence, well involved unit on the 2nd floor. Start second alarm.
Rockaway Region 222, copy your request for a second alarm, 6-plex well involved. Battalion Bus.
It is now 13.5 minutes into the burn, and the entire room is engulfed in flames. As firefighters enter the structure, they must first extinguish fire that has spread throughout the building. and then make their way towards the point of origin.
Next, we're going to talk about fire prevention. Fire prevention is the most important firefighting anyone can do. Anything done after a fire starts is just an attempt to decrease the magnitude of the damage. The number one cause of fire is cooking. A common cause is not paying attention to what's on the stove. Clothing was the first item ignited in less than 1% of these fires, but these incidents accounted for 15% of cooking deaths. Ranges accounted for the largest share of home cooking fires, 59%. Frying poses the greatest risk. Oil left heating on the stovetop is the most common cause of a home fire. It only takes a few seconds for the oil to overheat. If you have to walk away from the stovetop, turn it off. Use oven mitts or pot holders when moving hot food. Never use pot holders when they're wet, as they conduct heat, and replace old pot holders or oven mitts. Keep curtains, paper towels, and any other flammable items away from the stovetop. Check the inside of the oven before turning it on. Make sure nothing's in there. If you're using the stovetop and you need to walk away, remember to turn off the burner. Turn pot handles to the inside so they can't be grabbed or knocked over, causing a serious burn or fire. Keep the top of your cooking range clean. Buildup of food or grease on the stovetop can cause a fire. When cleaning the oven, remove large chunks of food from the bottom of the oven prior to cleaning. If you have a fire on the stovetop while you're cooking, put on an oven mitt, slide the lid across the pan, and then turn the stovetop off. If you don't have a lid, then douse the fire with baking soda. Don't use a fire extinguisher to put out a cooking fire, as the powder comes out forcefully and can cause grease to splatter, spreading a fire. Here's an example of how to put out a cooking fire.
Every fire needs three things to burn: heat, oxygen, and fuel. And it will keep burning and growing until one of those is removed. If you're cooking with grease and the pan catches fire, you need to act fast. The safest way to extinguish a small pan fire is by removing the oxygen. First, put on an oven mitt. Next, grab the lid that fits the pan and smother the flames with it. Carefully slide the lid over the pan to cut off the oxygen. Then, turn off the burner to stop adding heat. Never pour water on a grease fire. That can make the fire spread. And leave the pan alone. Don't lift the lid. That would add more oxygen and keep the fire going. Or move the pan until it is cooled completely. Never try to carry a burning pan to the sink or outside. That could fan the flames and the oil can burn you and spread fire around. Now listen up. You should only try this if you have a safe way out and everyone else is getting out. If the fire is spreading, get out and call the fire department from outside your home.
If you have a fire in the oven, don't attempt to open the oven door. That will add oxygen to the fire and cause the flames to burst out of the oven door. In this situation, turn the oven off and call 911. For a microwave fire, unplug the microwave and do not attempt to open the door. Again, call 911. When grilling, the grills need to be kept at least 6 feet away from the building. They have to be used outside on a level surface, away from overhead trees and not under overhangs. Check that the connections on the grill are tight and that the hoses are in good condition. If not, don't use it and let the maintenance staff know. Never start a grill with the lid closed, and always check the inside of the grill before starting. When grilling with charcoal, like at a state park, never add starting fluid once the grill is started. Have a fire extinguisher handy and use long utensils when grilling. After the grill's cooled, clean any excess grease and don't put a can to catch grease under the grill. Never leave the grill unattended and don't try to move a hot grill. Candles or open flame devices are not allowed at any wildwood locations. Birthday candles are the only exception to this rule, and that's because they're going to be blown right out. Don't place anything on top of lights, especially halogen lights. They generate a lot of heat and should be kept away from curtains, blinds, hanging plants. Furniture needs to be pulled away from baseboard or radiant heaters. Clothing and curtains also need to be kept off heaters. The Morning Call back in January 2010 reported that a fire damaged 2 apartment buildings and displaced 41 residents in the Hillside Garden apartments, starting in bedding and clothing that were piled against a baseboard heater. Don't overload outlets with multiple plugs. Power strips that are used for extension cords have to have a circuit breaker. It's the on-off switch, like the one shown in the photo. Don't run power cords under carpeting. Space heaters are not allowed to be used. Small appliances like a toaster or coffee pot should be unplugged when they're not being used. Dried plants should be thrown away as they don't require a lot of heat to ignite. And live Christmas trees need to be watered daily and thrown away after New Year's Day. Dryers can be a cause of fires, so don't use the dryer for anything other than what it was designed for. Drying items with oil residue, plastic, foam rubber, or rubber-like materials can cause a fire. Clean out the lint trap every time. The dryer exhaust vent on the outside of the building should not be blocked. The dryer exhaust ducts should be cleaned regularly so that there's not lint buildup inside them. And don't leave the dryer running if you're not there. Smoking is not allowed in any buildings that Wildwood rents or owns. It's also not allowed in any of our Wildwood vehicles. Smoking on school property is against the law and prohibited. Every site has a designated smoking area, and smoking needs to be done at that area. Cigarette receptacles are available at every site and are the only place to discard cigarette butts. These receptacles need to be 50 feet away from the building or the farthest point on the property, not on decking. These cigarette receptacles need to be emptied regularly. Before emptying them, make sure the ashes are cold. Fires can start while fueling a vehicle just from a spark. The vehicle must be off. Touch the vehicle to discharge any static electricity before beginning to fuel. Don't smoke or use a cell phone while fueling a vehicle or standing near one that is being fueled. People overestimate how well they'll perform in a real crisis. Remember what smoking does? It affects how clearly you think and how well your body moves. In a recent survey, when people were asked how long they have to get out, most people responded 5 or 10 minutes, which is much longer than you have actually to be able to get out of the building. Remember the videotape with the room on fire? Every Wildwood site practices fire drills and has its own site-specific evacuation plan. Document all drills, even if it's a false alarm. We should be varying the time of day, blocking exits. They're all important to helping people be prepared in a real fire. Always evacuate to the meeting place. Fires happen on rainy and snow days too. Know all of your exits, your primary and secondary, and everyone needs to participate in these drills to be prepared for a real fire. If someone does not evacuate or doesn't evacuate in a timely way, under 3 minutes, evacuation procedures must be reviewed and a drill should be run again within 24 hours. You may be asking why 3 minutes. The concern becomes flashover. This is when heat radiates down from the ceiling to the floor and all the combustible materials ignite. The entire room is on fire. At this time, the room is over 1,000 degrees Celsius, around 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit. There really isn't a specific time for flashover to begin. It depends on a variety of factors. How combustible are the items around? How hot is the room? And does the room have access to oxygen? Flashover does not occur in all fires. There are some things that are very important to know, like does anybody have a fire evacuation goal? Or do they need assistance or supervision? Do you know the layout of your work site? Where's your site-specific meeting place? You should certainly know if a person has behaviors that are unsafe during a drill. Do they pull the alarm? Do they refuse to evacuate? If there are problems during evacuation, the team needs to meet and discuss what's the best way to address this particular issue for this particular person. When evacuating, You should follow the RACE procedure. Remove everyone from danger, alarm, alert everybody with the alarm, close the door, and evacuate, exit the building. Your only goal is to get everyone out safely, including yourself. Remove. When the alarm sounds, you need to evacuate according to your site's evacuation plan. Use the nearest exit. If an exit's blocked, use an alternate exit. Staff's only responsibility is to get everyone out. Answering the phone, finding possessions, a fire extinguisher are all peripheral concerns. Alarm. Smoke detectors will set off the alarm. If you see smoke or fire and the alarm has not sounded, pull the nearest pull station. If you're someplace out in public where you don't see a fire alarm system, yell fire as you exit. Closing the door. Contain the fire by shutting doors behind you. Shut open doors as you check rooms and exit. Our doors need to meet a minimum 20-minute fire code rating. Wooden doors that are older have a flame retardant varnish on them. Newer doors have a core filling that's flame retardant inside them. Steel doors well exceed the 20-minute requirement. If you come to a closed door before opening it, check it. Feel the door with the back of your non-dominant hand. Start at the top of the door because heat rises. Put your hand by the back of the doorknob. If the door is hot, use an alternate exit. If you see smoke coming from the door, again use an alternate exit. Always check the door for heat with the back of your hand. The concern becomes backdraft. Backdraft occurs when a fire is starved of oxygen. The fire started, the gases are hot, the smoke remain at a high temperature. The room doesn't have enough oxygen. You open the door, you're adding oxygen. It's very dangerous. OSHA regulations require that doors not be held or propped open. Doors equipped with a magnet will release when the alarm system is activated. Don't prop doors open. Exit the building and don't re-enter. Don't go back for photos, the hamster, money. The exits and pathways should always be clear of debris, snow. Remember that more people die from smoke inhalation than the actual fire. You may not make it out the second time. Personal items can be replaced, people cannot. To have a fire, you need 4 things. You need fuel, something to burn, heat, hot enough to ignite the item, and oxygen for the item to continue burning. For all of this to happen, you have to have the right chain reaction for that particular item to have an object ignite and continue to burn. If there's a real fire, follow the RACE procedures. Remove, alarm, close, and exit, and call 911. When calling, use a cell phone or a neighbor's phone. One piece of safety equipment that we have at Wildwood is smoke detectors. The death rates decrease by 40 to 50% in homes with smoke alarms. Every certified location that Wildwood oversees has smoke detectors. All of the smoke detectors are connected to the fire alarm system. When using a fire extinguisher, people should already be evacuating. The fire department should be called and supervisors should be notified. By that point, the fire may be too large to use a fire extinguisher. When using it, the fire should be small, contained, there should not be a lot of smoke, and you should always have an exit if the fire grows. All of our fire extinguishers are ABC fire extinguishers. We have fire extinguishers in our day service buildings, our group homes, schools, offices. An average extinguisher lasts about 10 to 15 seconds. As mentioned before, all of our fire extinguishers are ABC fire extinguishers. The A part of the extinguishers puts out combustible fires. The B part of the fire extinguishers puts out liquids, and the C part of the fire extinguisher puts out electrical fires. To use a fire extinguisher, you have to use pass. Pull out the pin, aim at the base of the fire closest to you, squeeze the handle, and sweep. Use the spray like a broom to sweep the fire towards the center.
Hi, I'm Joel with the Bremerton Fire Department, and I'd like to take a moment to talk with you about fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are a safe, effective tool for extinguishing small fires. When it comes to fire, be smart. This fire extinguisher, which most people have in their home, will discharge its entire contents in 10 to 15 seconds. That is why we use fire extinguishers on small fires. Fire extinguishers are rated A, B, and C fires. A being ordinary combustibles such as paper and wood products. B being flammable and combustible liquids such as gas. C for electrical fires such as your toaster or blender. To use the extinguisher, remember pass. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Pull the pin. Aim at the base of the fire, not the flames. Squeeze the trigger. And sweep at the base of the fire. Pull the pin. Aim at the base of the fire, not the flames. Squeeze the trigger and sweep at the base of the fire. Some important things to remember. Always keep the exit between you and the fire. If the fire grows rapidly and becomes too large to extinguish, exit the area. If you are inside, shut the doors on your way out. Keep the extinguisher where it is accessible. Small fires spread rapidly. In summary, fire extinguishers are used to extinguish small fires. Never put yourself at risk by attempting to extinguish large fires. Possessions can be replaced. You can't.
We have sprinkler systems at our Curry Road building, our Latham buildings 1 and 4, and our Delmar IRA. Sprinkler systems are not intended to put out a fire. They're intended to slow the growth of a fire and contain it to an area. Each sprinkler head has a glass-colored bulb in it. The glass bulb has an air bubble and liquid in it. When a fire creates enough heat, the liquid will expand, causing the air bubble to contract. When the liquid has no more space in the glass tube, it will break the glass, activating the sprinkler head. Each sprinkler has a colored bulb. Red colored bulbs are designed to activate at 155 degrees Fahrenheit. When the glass breaks, the sprinkler head will activate. Each sprinkler head works independently from the others. When the sprinkler head's activated, it will spray water. This cools the air temperature, preventing flashover from occurring. If a sprinkler is activated, the fire alarm bells will sound, and you'll need to evacuate following RACE: remove, alarm, close, exit. Call 911. If a sprinkler is leaking, dripping, notify your supervisor immediately. Don't try to fix the leak yourself. If you smell smoke, pull the nearest pull station and immediately start RACE: remove, alarm, close, and exit. Check closed doors for heat. If the door is hot, use an alternate exit. If you see smoke, stay low and crawl to the nearest exit. If you find the fire, close the door, follow RACE, and use an alternate exit. If a person's clothing catches on fire, we've all learned to stop, drop, and roll. Cover your face. If a person we're working with panics, you can take a blanket, wrap it around the person, drop to the ground, and roll with them to smother the fire. Each year, carbon monoxide causes 400 deaths and 20,000 hospital visits. It's called the silent killer because it's colorless and odorless, and it's the leading cause of accidental poisoning. It prevents your blood cells from being able to carry enough oxygen. Because carbon monoxide is commonly released during fires, you need to monitor people for carbon monoxide poisoning symptoms. Severe headaches, becoming dizzy, mentally confused, nauseous, weakness, chest pain, and disorientation are all symptoms. If you're concerned about someone's health, contact your supervisor or nurse. You may not know when the alarm goes off, if it's a fire or the carbon monoxide detectors. You still follow RACE: remove, alarm, close, and exit, and don't re-enter the building. Notify nursing of any ill symptoms, and if someone's symptoms seem serious, call 911 first. Carbon monoxide alarms have been installed in our group homes and locations where they're required. If you want to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, never burn charcoal inside a home or a garage. Never run a vehicle or a generator or any kind of fuel-powered motors indoors or in an attached garage. Never operate fuel-burning appliances without proper ventilation. The heating, water systems, anything that runs off of gas, oil, coal, really should be serviced annually. Part of that service is an inspection to make sure that the system is not leaking carbon monoxide. We hope you find this information useful, as the best tool in a fire is a trained and practiced staff member. Now we're going to spend a little time talking about some emergency procedures. In general, you should know where your emergency numbers are, where your program or site-specific information is. Always communicate with your supervisor and let them know what's going on. When working in a private home, let the family know what's going on. In the Northeast, we certainly can experience a variety of weather emergencies. If severe weather is predicted, you may not be working with the individual you provide services to that day. For a sudden onset of hurricanes, tornadoes, high winds, bring people inside. Listen to the radio or television stations to monitor for weather updates. People should be moved to windowless areas, hallways. Be prepared with flashlights. Make sure cell phones are charged. You can fill buckets with water in case of power outage if you need to flush the toilets. If you lose heat, check that the thermostat is on. Check the people that you're working with. Make sure everyone's safe and comfortable. Add layers of clothing and blankets if necessary. Notify your supervisor, and they will assist you if you need to relocate. If you lose air conditioning, let your supervisor know that it's malfunctioning. If it's a window unit, check outside to see if it is frozen. If so, turn it off and let it defrost. Keep items off the front of the air conditioning unit. This causes them to freeze up. If you discover that a room's flooded, don't enter the room. Don't enter any area where water is above the electrical outlets. Don't touch any electrical equipment when standing in water. Move people to unaffected portions of the building and notify your supervisor of the situation. If there's an earthquake, drop to the ground and take cover getting under furniture. Hold on until the shaking stops. If there isn't furniture to get underneath, crouch down inside a corner of a building, covering your head and face with your arms. Stay away from glass, outside doors, walls, light fixtures, anything that could fall on you. You can use a door for shelter as well. Stay inside until the shaking stops and it's safe to go outside. Research has shown that most injuries occur inside buildings when people attempt to move or go to a different location. Congratulations! You've just finished watching the annual Fire Safety online video. You will now be directed to take the competency.